We're in Pietermaritzburg at Ashburton Training Centre this morning to chat to Duncan Howells, the subject of our Stable Talk interview today. Well, Duncan's been hitting the high spots lately, notably with the fantastic filly Via Africa, whom we're going to meet in a short while. But he's had the support along the way of some patrons who really constitute a select band of people. Let's have a chat to Duncan and find out just how things are progressing in his career as a trainer.
As a young guy, I was very lucky. I grew up in racing, related to Andy Smith. My dad was a trainer, Roy Curling. Roy was my mother's brother. Gavin Smith's my cousin, obviously, and he's been champion trainer in Port Elizabeth for years.
But your dad trained in Port Elizabeth, and he was an old school trainer, wasn't he, of the era when you really had to pull off coups and things to keep alive.
Yes, he did, and look, he didn't train for a long time. He was a jockey as well. Unfortunately, he had a very bad fall in a race. Couldn't ride again.
Just looking back on the path that your career has followed, you've been associated with a couple of the top trainers along the way as an assistant.
Yeah, Eric Sands. He's trained multiple Group 1 winners. David Payne, he was a legend in his own time in South Africa. Even back to Andy Smith, he was a top trainer in Port Elizabeth for years. I always seemed to fall in the right place at the right time. And like I say, I tried to take advantage of those situations and learn as much as possible. Nick Robb, I was working for him and he walked in the yard one day and said, "Take over the string, I'm going overseas." So I was fortunate enough to start off with 30 horses. Brian Jenks was the main player in the yard. We had quite a bit of success our first season. I think of our first 11 runners, 10 of them won. Nice horses. But then unfortunately Brian Jenks pulled out of the country and horses were sold on dispersal sale. I didn't have any buyers behind me. I couldn't buy any of the horses back. I moved down to Summerveld. We didn't have a strong string. I did have the support of Marion Avis and Carlisle. We had quite a nice sprinter with me. Things didn't go well at Summerveld. I think about 2 years later I moved to Ashburton, and fortunately the gods have been on my side and we've never looked back since then.
Well, looking at your string now, the undoubted star of the past season has to be Via Africa. Let's go and just assess this little filly. She's dynamite. Duncan, she's by VAR. She looks incredibly like her sire, and the amazing thing is her temperament.
I think that's a big attribute. Obviously we know she's got tons of ability, but in saying that, you have to be able to calm yourself to become a great athlete.
How did she come to you in the first place?
Well, Andre Hauptfleisch, actually his father Gren bred the horse, and then he passed away.
That was where? Where did they breed?
In Cape Town.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Andre phoned me and said he was sending me this filly. And I must be honest, when she arrived here I wasn't very impressed, but well, she's turned out to be a champion. Looking at her on the track, we had that privilege earlier this morning, and she's got a stride. It really is an elastic stride. I mean, that perfectly describes it. She has, and she's got a unnatural cruising speed. She can cruise along and horses come off the bit next to her and actually start chasing her when she's doing no work in a race. You'd regarded her as a 1,000-metre specialist, but she ran in the big race at Scottsville. That was 1,200 metres, undulating track. Had she seen that track before? She'd won on it? She'd won on it, yes, but I never ever felt she was a 1,000-metre horse. I was restricted by races that I could run in. Okay. And when I went to Cape Town, you heard about the wind there, and I wasn't really keen to go 1,200 metres because at that stage of the game I knew she was very good over 1,000 metres. The program that we'd set for her down there was over 1,000, and there was never really any opportunity or necessity to put her over 1,200 metres before those races. And I wanted to keep her record straight as well. I knew she was good at that. She had natural speed. But what I did feel when she ran in the Cape Flying Championship, that some of that speed was starting to move on, sort of thing, and she was starting to mature in herself now. And my game plan for the end of the season was always the SA Filly Sprint. I was extremely confident when she ran. And I think it's very easy to be confident with a horse like this.
Via Africa still clear out here, and it's Via Africa with that magical stride. In fact, her stride's better than a million words. She's 3 lengths clear, and she ventures into new territory here. Grade 1 success, Via Africa.
She's got the Group 1 victory to her credit now. That was the SA Filly Sprint. She's won a Group 2, I think.
Yes, she's won a 2 listed races, a Group 2 and a Group 1. And she's only had the 9 starts, which includes 6 wins and 3 seconds.
But into the final 100, it's all Via Africa. Now the chase is on for minor money as Via Africa comes home, hands and heels to win it.
To the 200, but Via Africa stalking them there and going on clear. The others racing against the tide, and Via Africa coming home class here to win by 2.5 lengths. Via Africa the winner.
As they enter the final 200, it's Via Africa in front. But here comes What a Winter, charging through along the inside, and What a Winter draws alongside of Via Africa. What a Winter now shows his class. He takes the lead. It's the champion sprinter, What a Winter, that beats Via Africa.
What a Winter is out of the way, and what lies ahead for her?
There are possibilities of going overseas with her. I do feel she's good enough to do it. And if she stays sound and she's on song as she is at the moment, and she carries on the right way, I feel we're going to have a far better horse as a 4-year-old.
Anyway, she's amazing. So we're going to see her probably in Cape Town and then on the Highveld Tour.
She will be coming up for the computer form sprint. I've got a different route that I'd like to follow, although the same races. If things go right and everything stays on song, we'll go through the Cape Flying Championship. We won't come back to Natal after that. We'll go straight up to Joburg, and then we'll come back for the Natal season after that.
Well, I'm sure she's going to be one of the headliners down in the Cape and hopefully on the Highveld, so we'll be looking forward to seeing her up there. Beautiful creature.
She is.
Well, Duncan, her big white face, I must say, reminds me of Sea Cottage with that big blaze, and you can remember the excitement he caused when he came up on the Highveld for his last appearance up there. So let's hope she's going to do the same. Now, who are we going to have a look at here? Who's this one?
It's a filly called Surefire. She's done well. She's only had 2 runs. She's run 2 seconds. I thought she'd win her second start, but unfortunately my stable companion got up to beat her. So it was a little bit embarrassing because we really fancied her on the day.
Jamboree's running on. Surefire the last 100. The stable companion. Jamboree's now gone on by. And it's Jamboree by a neck from Surefire. Jamboree beat Surefire.
She's just turned 3 to put it in
She's just turned 3
perspective.
now. I think she's got huge potential. She didn't win too well, so I didn't want to force her. I thought just let her grow into herself. She's grown into a nice big filly now.
Can we have a look at her? She is a big filly. Wow. Distance-wise, what does her pedigree suggest? Have you had a look at that? I mean, your guy likes your pedigrees.
I do, yes. I think it helps me to train the horses. Obviously, some horses don't run according to their pedigrees, but I think this filly will probably get up to about 1600.
We can look forward to a forward kind of run the next time she runs. She's going to be hugely competitive.
I think she'll win her first comeback run.
Surefire goes on a half. Pej and Anton Marcus now trying to re-rally. Surefire by a neck. Pej is going to try and come home late on the outside. Surefire with her head in front. Anton Marcus and Pej though coming back, drifting to the inside, but Pej has got the firepower and Pej won it. Surefire second.
When you first started training, was it still in the era when you did your own mixing, or have you always been used to feeding a pre-mixed feed, a cube or a pellet or whatever the case may be?
To me, I've always fed the Millard cubes. I've always found it keeps my horses in tip-top condition, suits my training needs.
What really is the difference between the Millard and the Mike de Kock developed cube, the more recent one?
Obviously, there's a difference between energy and protein, but I think when you train horses, you do things to suit yourself so that it suits your training methods. Both feeds are exceptionally good feeds. The quality of feed is exceptional. It never changes. I think the work I put into the horses suits their needs, and I have to have fuel to burn to be able to do that. To win races nowadays, I think racing has become a lot more competitive. Horses are very fit out there. You have to have fit and sound horses going into races, otherwise you're not going to win.
So this is the thing that does it?
It does it for me, and I've been feeding it for probably 12 years now, and I've never been unhappy with it.
Time now for EPOL's nutritional hint of the week.
Meals should be fed to horses in smaller sizes and more frequently to provide palatable nutrition and simulate the natural eating pattern of the horse, which is naturally a trickle feeder. This allows for better digestion in the small intestine, lowering the intestinal heat increment, especially in horses working in hot conditions. Smaller meals also help prevent the overload of starch in the small intestine, which can cause colic. The recommendation for safe feeding is no more than 2.5 kilograms per meal.
Duncan, these barns are actually very attractive. I mean, certainly from the lightness and airiness point of view, but the cruciform design, does it hold any particular advantages? Why do you think they put these in?
As far as stable management goes, I mean, you're controlling 40 horses off the middle of the barn. So you can see exactly what's going on all the time. And, you know, if a horse has got a bad habit or something, you pick it up very quickly.
Yeah. Who's this? I assume this is the horse we're going to look at.
That is the horse, yes.
What's his name?
He's a Silvano. His name is Regal Eagle. He's won 4 out of 6 starts. I think his horse is going to be a very nice horse as a 4-year-old.
Regal Eagle and in Darba, my children, but Regal Eagle's finding more, and it's Regal Eagle going on to win it, and it's Show Me the Way, and Regal Eagle past the 200-metre marker. Show Me the Way, just the leader from Regal Eagle. Show Me the Way and Regal Eagle, they're battling it out, it's getting close, coming down to the wire, and it goes to Regal Eagle on the line from Show Me the Way.
He's already got a rating of 100. And,
okay, so he's up there.
Qualified. Plan with him is to take him to Cape Town for the Merchants. He's showing a lot of speed over sprinting distances. While the remedies working, keep him to that.
Yeah, very typical Silvano, I suppose. You know, plain workman-like looking horses, but boy, if they inherit the temperament of their dad, and the ability, of course, tough, sound horses, great. Well, he's proved it.
He's got tons of ability, and you can see his nature. He's not mature yet.
Yeah.
You know, he's taking his time, but we haven't forced him in any way. Very, very sound horse, and he's tough.
Okay, name to watch out for. Duncan, this one very tractable here in the box now, but you reckon she's a bit quirky. Her name is My Sanctuary.
Very good filly, a little bit headstrong. She's done exceptionally well. She won 3 out of 5 starts, including a Group 2 race.
But My Sanctuary has just glided past them all, and it's all over here. And My Sanctuary once again to win it impressively by 3 or 4. My Sanctuary, the leader. Glorious Moments really taking off. My Sanctuary's going to dig deep. Glorious Moments taking, so is Princess Julieta. My Sanctuary won it. Princess Julieta very unlucky.
I've also got plans to take her either to Johannesburg or to Cape Town for future races. I haven't made the decision yet which way I'll go, but I think possibly the faster tracks in Joburg will suit her. She's got a lot of speed.
Well, we're making this little trip across for the sake of one particular horse, and I believe he's called, what, One Cool Dude. How would he have got his name? What's he by?
It's by Strike Smartly. It's out of a Western Winter mare. He's done exceptionally well for us. I really got a high regard for him.
Ability-wise?
Look, so far he's shown good ability. You know, every time I've picked him up against a higher division, he's come through.
One Cool Dude's now taking off. Cossack General's crying for the line. One Cool Dude's coming home really powerfully, got up to win, going away. Second Cossack General, excuse my French, and ever last.
You know, if you don't have dreams with these horses, what's the point of doing it? Yeah.
So the dream here is
possibly the
July
Summer
material,
Cup.
Summer Cup?
Summer Cup,
brilliant.
Yes. Yeah, well, look, our plan is possibly to give him 2 prep runs here and then ship him up to Joburg.
He'd just go up there to raid, or would you keep him there for any length of time?
If he goes up, he'll go up there to acclimatise, going distance, possibly go up 6 weeks before the race.
Yeah.
And then we'll play our cards from there.
Well, thanks so much for the stable tour this morning. It's been quite an eye-opener. I must say I didn't realise that you had that number of horses in the barns. Things really looking good for the future.
Yeah, no, we're having a good time. I really enjoy what I'm doing, and like I said earlier, I've been lucky in my life. A lot of guys don't get the opportunities I get, and I'm making the best of it.
Well, I must say I've been enormously impressed by what I've seen out here at Ashburton this morning. Duncan Howells is a man who obviously takes his career very, very seriously. He's got an eye for detail, and I think he's a horseman through and through. Definitely a trainer to watch in the future. Join us again in a fortnight's time for another edition of Stable Talk. If you'd like to catch a repeat of our programme, you can go to our Stable Talk page on Facebook.